You remember the feeling, don't you? The exact moment you showed you cared just a little too much, and in response, you felt her pull away. It wasn't a loud explosion, but a quiet shift in the atmosphere, a sudden drop in temperature that you felt in your bones. Her texts became shorter. Her gaze seemed to look right through you. This is the paradox that has haunted good men for generations. She asks for your vulnerability, for your attention, for your heart. Yet when you offer it too freely, she recoils as if burned. You're left standing in the silence, holding an offering she no longer wants, convinced you've been punished for the very thing you were told to be. It's a profound and painful confusion, the feeling that the rules of the game were changed without your knowledge, leaving you completely powerless. This cycle of confusion is a maze most men never escape. They double down on the very behavior that pushes her away, believing they just need to prove their affection more intensely. They mistake performance for presence, thinking that a constant stream of texts and reassurances will build a bridge when, in fact, it's flooding the valley between you. You've seen this before, this desperate attempt to manage her feelings, to secure her validation. If this feeling of constantly performing is familiar, and you're ready to understand the deep truth behind this dynamic, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your thoughts below. Because what we are about to uncover isn't a technique, it's a fundamental shift in your understanding of masculine energy and feminine desire. It's about trading your anxiety for an unshakable inner calm. Now, think of the other man, the one who seems not to care. It's not that he's cruel or dismissive. Cruelty is the weakest man's imitation of strength. No, this man is simply occupied. His world is full of his own purpose, his own mission. When he looks at her, his gaze is fully present, but it comes from a place of inner stillness, not from a desperate need for her to complete him. His silence isn't a punishment, it's a space where he resides comfortably. For you, this has always been a source of frustration. How can this apparent lack of effort be so magnetic? The truth is, her nervous system isn't reading his behavior as indifference. It's reading it as stability. It's the silent, powerful signal of a man whose emotional center of gravity is firmly planted within himself. This is where the entire game is inverted. You believe you must become her emotional servant, anticipating her needs and reacting to her every mood to prove your worth. But she isn't looking for a servant. She's instinctively searching for a leader, an anchor in the storm of her own fluid emotions. The man who seems not to care provides this, not by ignoring the storm, but by being the mountain that cannot be moved by it. His lack of reactivity isn't a sign that he doesn't feel. It's a sign that he cannot be broken by feelings, hers or his own. For a woman, this is the ultimate form of psychological safety. It's the unspoken promise that she can be her full, chaotic, beautiful self without the terrifying risk of shattering the man she's with. And so you feel her pulling away, and the first lie your mind tells you is that you must close the distance immediately. The silence hits you not like a gentle pause, but like a verdict. You see the unanswered text on your phone screen, and it becomes a symbol of your failure, a digital tombstone for the connection you thought you were building. This is where the panic begins, a cold, sharp spike of anxiety that tells you to times do something asterisk. Your instinct, programmed by a lifetime of misguided advice, screams that more effort is the answer. You believe the silence is a void you must fill, a problem you must solve with words, with gestures, with proof of your affection. This belief is the anchor that drowns good men. It is the fundamental misunderstanding of feminine energy, mistaking her need for space as a rejection of your presence. This flawed logic sends you into a spiral of overcompensation. You craft the perfect message, a long paragraph explaining your feelings, reassuring her of your interest, asking what went wrong. You think you are being vulnerable and communicative, demonstrating your emotional intelligence. But what she feels is not connection. She feels pressure. She feels the weight of your anxiety landing in her inbox. Your carefully chosen words are not a bridge, they are a net. You are no longer sharing your world with her. You are trying to manage hers, to control her emotional state, to soothe your own fear of loss. This is the critical error. You turn your affection into a tool for seeking validation. You think you are proving you care, but what you are really signaling is that your own emotional stability is fragile and depends entirely on her response. With every text you send into the void, you give away another piece of your power. The dynamic inverts completely. You become the chaser, and she, by doing nothing at all, becomes the one being chased. This automatically lowers your perceived value in her eyes because your behavior communicates neediness, not strength. Think about it from her perspective. A man whose peace is so easily shattered by a delayed response is not a man who can provide a safe harbor in a real storm. He is another storm. Her short, delayed replies are not a game she is playing consciously. They are the instinctive reaction of her nervous system recoiling from the intensity of your need. She feels your desperation as a burden, and her withdrawal is a natural attempt to lighten that load, to find her own emotional equilibrium again. Tell me if you have felt this hollowness before. This frantic energy is not truly about her. It is a desperate flight from yourself. Her silence is terrifying because it forces you to sit with your own internal state, and you have been using her attention as a distraction from the emptiness you feel when you are alone. You are chasing her validation to prove to yourself that you are enough. Her attention has become the drug that quiets the anxious voice in your head. When that drug is withdrawn, you go into withdrawal, scrambling for another hit. This is why the man who seems not to care is so magnetic. He is not using her for his own internal regulation. He has his own source of energy, his own purpose, his own unshakable core. He doesn't need her to feel whole, and that is precisely what makes her feel safe to be around him. You have been misreading the signal entirely. Her distance is not a statement about your worth, it is a question about your foundation. When she pulls away, she is not saying, "I don't like you anymore." Subconsciously, she is asking, "Can you handle my freedom? Can you stand on your own 2 feet without me constantly reassuring you? Are you a solid rock, or are you just a pile of sand that will wash away when my tides change?" Your panicked pursuit gives her a loud, clear answer. You are the sand. You cannot hold your own shape. This isn't a conscious test she devises. It is an ancient biological imperative. Her nervous system is constantly scanning for stability, for a man whose presence feels like a mountain, not like a gust of wind that changes direction with her every mood. Therefore, the lie that you must act to fix her distance is the very thing that cements it. The truth is that your stillness is what is being called for. Her pulling away is not a problem for you to solve. It is an invitation for you to return to your own center. It is a gift of space, giving you the opportunity to demonstrate that your world does not collapse when she is not in the center of it. The correct response is not more communication with her, but deeper communion with yourself, with your work, your mission, your body, your purpose. The game is not about winning her back. It is about becoming so grounded in your own life that her presence is a wonderful addition, not a desperate requirement. It is the moment you stop trying to manage the storm in her and finally learn to command the calm in you. Her behavior is not a conscious strategy designed to wound you. It is an instinctive mechanism as ancient and as powerful as the tides. When she pulls away, her nervous system is conducting a profound, silent audit of your own. She is subconsciously scanning for your emotional center of gravity. Is it located within you, or have you placed it in her hands? Her silence, her sudden distance. It's a mirror. It is not showing you a reflection of her disinterest. It is showing you a perfect, high-definition reflection of your own anxiety. The emptiness you feel when she withdraws is not an emptiness she created. It is an emptiness that was already inside you, which her presence was temporarily masking. The truth is, her withdrawal is a form of deep biological intelligence, seeking out the one thing she needs above all else: stability. You must understand the fundamental law of polarity. She is, by nature, a force of beautiful, fluid, and sometimes chaotic emotional energy, an ocean. Your role is not to become another wave crashing alongside her in a frenzy of reactivity. Your role is to be the cliffside, solid, unmovable, and deeply present, allowing her waves to crash against you without losing your own ground. When you panic at her distance and flood her with texts, you abandon your nature. You become water, just like her, and two bodies of water simply merge into a formless, attractionless pool. The magnetic charge is lost. She doesn't need you to mirror her storm. She needs you to be the unwavering lighthouse in the midst of it, a silent, steady beam of light that says, I am here and I am not afraid of the dark. This is why her distance so often feels like a test, because in a very real, subconscious way, it is. It is not a petty game to test your affection, but a profound integrity test to gauge your foundation. Her nervous system is asking one critical question: is your sense of self conditional upon my approval? Every time you frantically seek reassurance, you are screaming back the answer, yes, it is. You are telling her that the man she was drawn to is a fragile construction, easily dismantled by her moods. The man who seems not to care passes this test effortlessly. When she pulls away from him, he doesn't crumble. His world continues to turn. His response or lack thereof communicates that his core identity is non-negotiable, and this is precisely the signal her biology is designed to seek out. For her, this emotional stability is the ultimate form of safety. Think of it from her perspective. Her inner world is a constant flow of changing emotions, a dynamic landscape of peaks and valleys. If your emotional state is tied to hers, you become just another unpredictable element in that landscape. She has to manage not only her own feelings, but yours as well. This is exhausting. It is a burden. But the man who is anchored within himself, whose peace is not contingent on her mood, offers a sanctuary. He provides a space where she can be her full, chaotic, beautiful self without the terrifying responsibility of holding him together. Your non-reactivity is not a sign of indifference. It is the greatest gift of freedom you can offer her. It's the unspoken promise that she won't break you. The hidden truth is that the man she finds herself drawn to is not empty. His inner world is simply full. It is full of his own mission, his purpose, his ambitions, and his passions. His life is a compelling story that he was already writing long before she arrived, and she has the exciting opportunity to become a character in it. Your mistake was stopping your story the moment you met her and trying to make her the entire plot. When a woman becomes a man's sole purpose, he loses the very purpose that made him attractive. His focused energy, his drive, his quiet obsession with his own path, that is the magnetic force. She doesn't want to be the center of your universe. She wants to be invited into the vibrant, powerful universe you have already built for yourself. You must also recognize that her withdrawal is not always a reaction to you. It is often a natural part of her own rhythm. Feminine energy is cyclical. It moves in waves, drawing close with intense connection, and then receding to regenerate and process. You have been interpreting this natural ebb as a personal rejection, a sign that you have failed. The secure man understands this is not a crisis to be solved. He does not panic when the tide goes out. He simply tends to his own shore, his work, his health, his purpose, knowing with a quiet confidence that the tide will inevitably return. Your panicked pursuit during her retreat is not only futile, it disrupts her natural cycle and communicates a profound lack of understanding of her very nature. This brings us to the true meaning of caring. She does want you to care, but she needs that care to be an expression of your fullness, not a desperate plea to fill your emptiness. The anxious man's affection is a transaction. I'm giving you this attention, this validation. Now please give me your approval so I can feel okay about myself. It is a constant, needy asking. The secure man's affection is a statement. My inner world is solid, and I am choosing to share its warmth with you. It is a giving without expectation of return. His care is demonstrated not in a constant barrage of communication, but in his unwavering presence and the consistency of his own emotional state, regardless of hers. He cares enough not to burden her with his own emotional regulation. Ultimately, the most potent aphrodisiac is not your attention, but your time's attention span, asterisk. It is your ability to remain focused on your own path, to hold your frame, to be the master of your own internal world, even as she orbits it. She is not attracted to the man who ignores her, but to the man who is so deeply engaged with his own life's purpose that her presence is a cherished addition, not a desperate necessity. This is the essence of emotional self-sovereignty. It is the silent, powerful declaration that your peace and your direction are your own. When you embody this, you stop being a player in her game and become the man who sets the tone for the entire reality. You become the anchor, and she will feel an instinctive pull to moor herself to you. So, when you feel that familiar chill, that subtle shift in her energy, what is the ideal response? The common man panics. He hears the silence and interprets it as an accusation, a verdict on his worth. His immediate impulse is to close the gap, to fix the perceived problem with a flood of words and reassurances. He grabs his phone, his mind racing, trying to craft the perfect message to pull her back. But the centered man does something radically different. He pauses, he feels the same spike of anxiety, the same pull of insecurity, but he does not act on it. Instead, he takes a breath. He observes the storm rising within him and chooses not to become it. He understands that trying to grasp her affection when she pulls away is like trying to clench your fist around water. The harder you squeeze, the faster it escapes. His first action is inaction. His first move is stillness. This stillness is not a tactic, it is a state of being. It is the profound understanding that his value is not contingent on her immediate response. Where the anxious man sends a message born of fear, are we okay? Did I do something wrong? A message that demands she manage his emotions. The centered man operates from a place of fullness. If he communicates at all, his message is a statement, not a question. It's an update from his world, not an inquiry into hers. Just finished a deep session on my project, feeling energized. Hope you're having a great day. Notice the difference. One is a plea for validation, a hole waiting to be filled. The other is a broadcast of his own solid reality, a source of warmth that gives without asking. He is not using his words to pull her closer. He is using his life to anchor himself deeper. The true work happens not on the screen of his phone, but in the theater of his own mind. The man who reacts spends the next hours or even days in a state of internal chaos. He replays conversations, analyzes her every word, and tortures himself with what-ifs. His focus is entirely on her, a desperate attempt to solve the puzzle of her emotions. The man who responds, however, withdraws his energy from her and reinvests it in himself. He goes to the gym and has the best workout of his week. He loses himself in his work, making tangible progress on his mission. He reads a book, he meets with friends, he lives his life. He is not ignoring her or punishing her with silence. He is simply refusing to let her emotional weather pattern dictate the climate of his own world. He is honoring the truth that his purpose is his primary anchor. This is the art of non-resistance. You've been taught to see her distance as a wall to be broken down, a problem to be solved through sheer force of will. But that is the path of endless frustration. The mature masculine response is to allow the distance. It is to see her withdrawal not as a rejection of you, but as a space for her to exist and a space for you to demonstrate your own solidity. You do not fight the silence. You inhabit it with a calm presence. You let her emotional tide go out without panicking, trusting that your own gravity, the gravity of your purpose, your peace, your self-possession, is the only thing that can naturally draw it back in. As the philosopher once noted, the only way to make sense of change is to join the dance. You stop fighting the current and learn to feel its direction, knowing your own ground is firm beneath your feet. By choosing this path of calm detachment, you fundamentally alter the energetic dynamic between you. Your refusal to chase, your quiet commitment to your own frame, creates a powerful vacuum. She expects you to react as other men have, with anxiety, with pressure, with a desperate need for reassurance. When you offer none of it, when you instead offer a steady, unwavering presence that is unmoved by her absence, you become a mystery. You become the source of stability her nervous system has been subconsciously searching for. Her mind may not understand it, but her body does. She feels your stillness not as indifference, but as strength. This is the moment you stop being a participant in her emotional drama and become the calm, quiet stage upon which it can safely unfold. You become still enough to truly be seen. Ultimately, this reaction is not about her at all. It is about you. Her pulling away is the universe giving you a profound opportunity to check in with yourself. It is a test not of your love for her, but of your respect for your own life. The man who crumbles reveals that she was his source of validation. The man who stands firm proves that his source is internal. The ideal masculine reaction, then, is a quiet return to self. It is the realization that the goal was never to keep her from leaving. It was to build a life so compelling that you are at peace whether she stays or goes. This is the final inversion. Her distance does not create a void you must fill, but reveals the solid ground you already stand on. You are not the boy chasing the butterfly. You are the garden that invites it to land. And so, we arrive at the final, quiet turn. The entire struggle, the confusion, the painful cycle of chasing and retreating. It was never truly about her. It was a profound, unspoken invitation for you to come home to yourself. We began with the paradox that she pulls away not because she feels nothing, but because she feels too much. Now you see the truth. She was feeling the sheer, overwhelming weight of your unanchored emotional state. Your anxiety became a storm she had to navigate. Your neediness, a current pulling her under. Her withdrawal was not a rejection of you, but a subconscious act of self-preservation, a desperate search for solid ground. She was not running from your affection. She was running from the terrifying responsibility of being your emotional center of gravity. The moment you understand this, the game dissolves, because you realize you were only ever playing against yourself. This is the nature of true masculine power. It has nothing to do with dominance, with control, or with the carefully crafted performance of indifference. That is the theater of the insecure. True power is silent. It is gravitational. It is the deep, unshakable calm that comes from a man whose inner world is full, complete, and sovereign. You thought you had to prove your worth by constantly doing things for her, when all she ever wanted was to feel the stability of your times being asterisk. She doesn't want a servant who anticipates her every need. She wants an anchor who can withstand her every storm. Your purpose, your mission, your unwavering commitment to your own path, this is the foundation she instinctively seeks. It is the silent promise that she can be her full, chaotic, beautiful self without the fear of shattering you. When you embody this, everything changes. You feel her energy shift, that familiar subtle distance, and the cold spike of panic is no longer there. In its place is a quiet hum, the sound of your own life, your own purpose, continuing uninterrupted. You do not punish her with silence, nor do you chase her with words. You simply remain. You are the mountain, and her mood is merely the weather. It can be a storm or it can be sunshine, but it cannot move you. You stop trying to grasp the water of her affection, and you become the vessel, deep, still, and self-contained. Your non-reactivity is not a tactic. It is the natural state of a man who is whole. You don't attract her by chasing. You attract her by becoming so grounded in your own existence that your stillness becomes a magnetic force. The paradox is finally resolved. The man who seems not to care is simply the man who has learned to care, first and foremost, about the integrity of his own soul. He is not indifferent. He is independent. And that independence is the greatest gift he can offer her, because it gives her the freedom to be herself without the burden of completing him. The entire game of attraction ends the moment you stop playing. You no longer need her to validate you because you have learned to validate yourself. She doesn't want your explanations. She wants your stability. She doesn't need your performance. She needs your presence. This is the final liberation. The goal was never to win her, but to build a self so strong that winning or losing her becomes irrelevant. Comment what you now see in her that you couldn't before.